Hi, it's Shelley with Strategic Sales Advisors, and welcome back to my channel, Building Sustainable Sales. This year, I'm sharing insights to help business owners enhance their sales processes, strategies, teams, and systems to drive sustainable growth. And today, I want to talk about one of the most foundational things that a business owner can do to drive sales performance and revenue performance within a company or organization. When I present to groups and CEOs out there, if they take nothing else away, I hope they take the conversations we have around ideal client profiles and the absolute value that they can bring to a company or organization. And so today I really want to talk and spend a little bit of time talking about them and diving into what is an ideal client profile, why it matters, and how you can create one in your own business. Whether you are whether your company organization it sells business to business or is a direct to consumer, knowing exactly who your ideal client is can transform your efforts and drive that measurable growth. So let's dive into things. And let's start with what is an ideal client profile? It's really important, I think, to talk about what an ideal client profile is, because people just, I don't think, resonate or understand, especially if you're newer or if you're newer to launching a business, right? So when we talk about an ICP, it's really truly a detailed description of the type of client that would benefit the most from your products or service. It's that ideal perfect fit. It's not only the customer or consumer who would benefit the most, but it's also the one you want to work with the most. And I want to make sure that we take that into consideration when we are looking at who we want to work with from a client or perspective, because we talked about this before. Working with the wrong type of client or working with the wrong fit, at the end of the day, is probably going to cost you more in resources, time, so that's financially, and then on the other side, probably reputation-wise, than we would want to admit. And so sometimes we get into relationships with clients, we think they're going to be a great fit. We find out that they aren't. And a lot of time that comes from the fact that we really weren't focused in on what is that ideal client and how can we target that? How can we be really strategic around it? So leading into that, that's probably one of the first reasons why having an identified ICP or multiple ICPs for your business are so crucial. They help you focus that sales and marketing effort on those high value prospects, saving that time and resources that you may need. It helps you do things like increase your conversion rates. When you're targeting the right clients, you will convert more of them versus trying to target all clients or all potential clients. It can also, and I think this is another misunderstood space with where ideal client profiles can help a company or organization, but they really truly can help you with client retention, because you're more likely to attract clients who truly benefit your offerings when you have an ICP in place or multiple ICPs in place. They then find not only more value in the products or services that you have, but that drives loyalty. It drives loyalty to your business, which means enhance the lifetime value of that client, and then enhance customer satisfaction. So, right there you can tell, just client retention wise, that's going to be something that's going to drive value to your business. So let's talk a little bit about some of the statistics and why I find these so important. Companies that actually put processes into place, so formal sales processes, which include your ICPs, right, your ideal client profiles, can experience a 28% increase in revenue compared to companies that don't have these in place. So just imagine that and your competitors out there. And what would that mean if you could take, an upwards of 20% revenue increase above your competitors? We talked about the enhanced conversions. The statistics around that, from a marketing standpoint, it can increase click-through rates by 14%, and it can actually increase conversions by 10% having these processes in place, again, with your ICPs included in on that. When you can increase your customer retention by 5%, that can boost your profits by almost 25%. So again, another great reason why it's so invaluable to have something like this in place from a business standpoint. And again, when we talk about just resource allocation, when we try to sell and market to everyone, not only does our message get vague, but when sales doesn't have strategic areas of performance that they need to focus in on, you tend to sort of focus a little bit on everything. I always say it's sort of the like, instead of a rifle, you're using a shotgun, right? And the little shotgun pellets, you're trying to hit as much as possible. And the reality is you don't hit much of anything. So when we look at this, that resource allocation to some of your highest priced team members within a company or organization on the sales side of things, when we can focus their energy into the right spaces and get that conversion going, it's just much more efficient down the road. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but one of the areas that I like to look at when we're doing ideal client profile builds, especially when I'm working with a client, is we're going to look at your best clients, and then we're going to look at the wrong clients, the wrong client fit. So before we get there, let's talk a little bit about what we put into an ideal client profile. When I'm building one of these, we're going to look at things like demographics. So we're going to look at the age and gender, location, company size, or industry, depending upon if you're B2B or B2C sales. I'm going to look at what are the problems that we're trying to solve. So the products or services that you provide, what solutions do they provide out there? And do those solutions work with the client profiles that we're targeting at that point? What is the buying behavior? So how do they make those purchasing decisions? Who's making that purchasing decision within a company or organization? If you're going B2B, what's their budget? And how will that affect things? And then values and goals. What motivates them, right? What do they value in a business relationship? And what are their aspirations for their company or organization, or their aspirations for the purchase that they're making if it's an individual? We want to look at shared characteristics, whether that's an industry situation or a locality situation. I think that's really important when we're making those decisions. And it's interesting because when I do this work with customers and clients, like I said, I do something with, you probably can't see this here, but I have a worksheet where we work on what's the cost of a wrong client. So taking a moment to pause and say, all right, let's look at a client that you've had or two in the past where the initial conversation, or you've gone into it because you think they're a good fit for your products or services, right? You think you're going to have a good fit, and the reality is it ends up not being a good fit. And really taking the time to describe that client and focusing on why the client ended up being a mismatch. I'll give a great example. I've worked with clients in the past where going into it, we felt we were a good match. We started down the path of doing some work and some project work, and the reality was is as we got into it, one of the things that I need clients to be able to do is I need them to be able to make decisions on things quickly, so that we can continue to progress. And in the past, I have had clients where we've gotten into a situation, we've started working through project work, identifying different things within their sales organizations that need to be fixed and optimized. And the reality is that they couldn't make a decision yes or no on whether to progress. And that just stalls the work, right? That's not a good match for me. I need business owners who are ready to make change. And so that's something that I have self-identified as part of my client profile when we build it in, is that the clients that I'm going to go after need to be able to, or understand that change is going to need to happen, and they have to be open to it. I want to do things like when it's a mismatch, let's look at that mismatch and calculate tangible and intangible costs of that mismatch. Did I have to spend extra time with them? Did the work that we were supposed to do go out of the initial scope of work, and were they, with my operational team, was there difficulty there in managing that relationship? Were their expectations higher than what my expectations are with what we were going to get accomplished? Those types of things, right? Where we start to see where that mismatch starts to happen. And then we want to look at and sit down and have a conversation around could have made that client a better fit? What should have been asked in the initial discovery to really uncover the red flags that this was not going to be a good fit earlier, right? That's going to help inform us as we build out ideal client profiles. Because the opposite side that I want to do is when we're building out the actual client profiles is we want to analyze those existing clients, the mismatches and the really good ones. And we want to have that conversation around, on the good side, what do they have in common? What are those behaviors that you saw that made them good clients for you? What industries did they come for? What pain points did they all have that your solutions were very effective for, right? That your product or service was very effective in helping them. It's a great opportunity to sit down with some of your great clients too and ask them, why did you choose me? Why did you decide to go with my business for, to work with you through this product or service or through these pain points? We can also use our CRM data to analyze patterns in customer behavior and demographics. We can start to look at that. To me, that's really key and critical when we look at, sales cycle length. So if you are identifying client profiles, you also need to identify on average what's that buying time for them. And some of your ideal client profiles might have short buying decisions, and some of them might have longer buying decision situations. And so we can start to then leverage those in and build those into the client profile so we understand that. So we are not approaching a client thinking that they're going to buy tomorrow from us when the reality is that demographic tends to take 6 months to make a decision on something. Maybe they have to have legal come in, for example, to make a decision on the contract. We want to, again, all of that needs to get built into the client profiles. And then we can also do things like study our competitors out there or industry trends and identify areas of performance that maybe you can feel that they're not doing, or where are they so far ahead of you that it would take you significant time and resources to catch up to them in that space, where maybe it would be better to go after a different ideal client profile. Great example would be things like, let's think direct to consumer for a moment, and maybe you have a small fitness clothing company, and you've decided that you're going to go after certain demographics in the marketplace. And the reality is that your company is new, your product isn't significantly innovative over others. You think you have great products, fantastic, but it may be better for you to lean into, for example, in the female fitness clothing industry area, into maybe a slightly higher age bracket in your demographic, so maybe 35 to 55 versus the 15 to 25, where Lululemon might be such significant competition because of their brand awareness and everything else that's going on, that for you to make any kind of inroads into that market would take significant time and resources. I hope that makes sense. So again, we've gathered all that data, we've done some client work, we've understood what makes a wrong client, what makes a right client. Now we want to build that ideal client profile. And when we're building it, we are really building things like, we want to break it down with industry type or generalized industry type. So professional services, for example, or it could be, business law offices, or, CPA firms, or if it's direct to consumer, it could be households that have $250,000 or more in annual income, and property size of a third of an acre or more for their home property size, that type of stuff. We want to really get down into describing the actual company or organization. We're going to segment our audience into those different areas. And again, you may have more than one client profiles. Most companies do. They have at least one, if not more than one. I have several in my business. And so we want to group that audience together into those shared characteristics. And then we're going to look at it and we're going to define what is the problem. We're going to clarify the specific challenges that our product or service addresses for them, right? So again, if we go back to the lawn care situation, household income, $250,000 more, property size of a third of an acre and more, the problems or challenges that they may deal with is that they may be, a two-job household that has limited time to take care of their lawn care. And so they need somebody to come in and take care of that. They're looking to at least manage or enhance their property values by keeping, the appearances of their property to a high level, and then also safety and security. If you're looking at, grass that grows high, pests can invade in that space. If tree care or arbor care is not taken care of, you could have risk of limb drop, things like that. Could have insurance issues. Those are all the problems that you as a lawn care or lawn and landscape care could take care of for them. That could be your solution to their problem, right? And then we want to combine everything into describing that ideal client, combine the demographics, the needs, those behaviors into that detailed profile. When I'm building these out, as I said, I will build out the client profile. So business type, what are the challenges that they're dealing with? What solutions do we have? What's the timeline on their purchasing decision? All of that kind of stuff. And then underneath that, I will typically then build out a buyer persona. So who is the actual buyer within the company organization? It's a little bit different on the direct to consumer, but when we're talking business to business sales, we want to look at that buyer persona. Who is the key decision maker? Is it the CEO of the company, or is it somebody in HR or somebody in operations, so chief operations officer, or is it, if it's a larger company, is it somebody in procurement? What's their average age range? Are they male or female traditionally in that role? What's their driving, right? So again, let's take an HR director, for example. Let's say that you are an outsourced benefits company, HR and benefits company, and you're looking to drive performance out of manufacturing companies, and with your software and solutions that you provide, your typical contact or connection is going to be the HR director. Their concern might be a couple of things, that you're trying to replace them. So how do you alleviate that situation in that decision maker's mind? And then what can you do to enhance their role and responsibilities? How can you make their life easier within the company organization? They may not be the actual end user decision maker as far as saying yes or no, we're going to take on your product, but they become your chief champion within the organization to drive that decision making process. And then we want to, once we've built an ideal client profile and a buyer persona within them, we want to validate that. We want to test it by targeting that group with marketing or sales campaigns. Let's see if what our hypothesis was around this was correct based upon, what you've had in the past. So again, great example would be going back to our landscape and lawn care, is creating some messaging and marketing around, you don't have time or resources to take care of your lawn and landscape, to keep it, property values up, and to make sure that safety and security, that's where we come in, right? Creating a message around that and putting that message into the place where your customers live, whether that's social media or direct email messaging or mailer campaigns or whatever it is. We want to validate by then putting that in and testing that message and making sure that things resonate, and then tweaking as we need to and pivoting. So once we've done and built an ideal client profile, it's not a static document, right? It's not just a piece of paper that this is written on or something in the computer itself. We want to use this tool to inform sales and marketing, right? So again, what we were just talking about, creating things like targeted marketing campaigns to your ideal client profiles to create tailored messages that resonate with your ideal clients. Taking those pain points that we've identified that ideal client profile typically deals with, and crafting messaging around that. You have this pain point, well, here, I have this solution for you. We want to create those types of things. We can refine that messaging to speak to those needs and values that they're driving. And then it helps us, especially on the sales side of things, it helps us prioritize leads. It helps focus our sales team's efforts on prospects who match our ideal client profile so that we can drive those higher conversion rates. Again, your ideal client profile isn't static. It should evolve as your business grows and as market conditions change. So we want to make sure that we are revisiting our ideal client profiles at least twice a year, and just making sure that it still aligns with our best clients and that things haven't shifted, right? So we can adjust it for ourselves based upon if we've got new service offerings or product offerings out there, or if we're entering new markets, or if market dynamics have shifted or industry dynamics have shifted. And then we can use feedback from our sales teams and our customer success teams and even our marketing teams as they gain feedback to really refine the profile so that we have messaging that resonates the most with our target client profiles, and that our assumptions on what pain points they deal with consistently are correct, or that those haven't shifted. Our sales and customer success teams are the front line dealing with our clients every single day. So they're going to have the best and most relevant information to integrate into these client profiles. So let's wrap things up. I've talked a lot today about client profiles, and this is, if you can't tell, I'm very passionate about this. But I want us to understand why ideal client profiles are so critical. They really do help us, drive home a focus in our business around who we're going to go after and who we solve problems for. Who do we solve pain points for? It helps us by defining things like characteristics, demographics, needs, and behaviors. We can build these by gathering data from our clients, from our CRM systems, and doing market research. We can build these very detailed profiles that then we can validate by putting messaging and sales tactics into place to go after these client spaces. And then we can use our ideal client profiles to really refine our sales and marketing efforts and getting very strategic around how we go after things to drive a much higher conversion rate and a better return on our client investment. And then finally, we want to make sure that we are updating our profiles consistently as our business needs evolve and as the markets evolve themselves. When you know exactly who your ideal client is, you can truly focus your efforts. You can really increase your efficiency, and that's going to help you drive and build better results within your company and organization. Now, I know this was a lot to talk about today, but I hope you found all of this information helpful. And if you'd like to learn more, please send me notes or comments within here on YouTube, or reach out directly to me. My contact information is in my profile here for Building Sustainable Sales. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insights. And let me know in the comments, have you built an ideal client profile for your business? And how has that gone? What's been your biggest challenge around client profiles? I really, truly would love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you the next time on Building Sustainable Sales. Bye for now.